Okay, yay. I was saying hi to Andrea and Wendy. I wish I was there with you all. It looks like a packed room, which is so exciting. Sorry, I'm out here in LA. I do have a little one arriving in a few months, so I cannot travel too much. But I'm really grateful to be here to present to you all. I'm just going to take you through high-level overview of L'Oreal itself and our early careers. But of course, you have Andrea and Wendy in the room to dig a little deeper into their roles and their team, and they're going to be great resources for you. But I'm just going to take you through a high level. If there's any questions, of course, in the room, Wendy, if you can monitor, I'll save the end for questions for everyone. And those online, please feel free to put your comments in the chat, and I will be monitoring from my end. So as the team on site was telling you a little bit about, we do have a lot to offer at L'Oreal. It's not just one brand. We have 4 big divisions here. We have our consumer products division, which are often the products you'll see in Target or Amazon. This consists of NYX Professional Makeup, Garnier, L'Oreal Paris, which often comes to mind. But we also have L'Oreal Luxe, which makes up a lot of our designer fragrances, YSL Armani, Urban Decay. Youth to the People is one of our newer acquisitions in the space. Our professional products division, so a lot of our hair care. And then, of course, our amazing active cosmetics team, which is actually on site with you right now, and some of our favorite skincare brands helping us look glowing and feeling confident. So just so you know, to take a step back at a higher level, these are all of our divisions, and that's how we organize ourselves to stay understanding of our product portfolio. I want to pause for a minute and just have everybody scan this code so you can take a look a little bit more at what I'm about to take you through here in the next few minutes, which is a lot of our early career programs. Now, I know you can't, there's going to be a lot of information thrown at you. So we've created a landing page for students to really take it in and look afterwards, so that if you want to apply to any of these opportunities, it's just a click away versus me emailing everything separately to you. So take a screenshot of this now. I can also send this to the team to send out to you all so you can access the landing page. I will come back to it later on as well. Hopefully you grabbed a snapshot of that. And again, digging deeper, so that was the higher level umbrella of our divisions. Now, as you could see, we have a lot of brands under each wing, and you have the chance throughout your career to work across many of these, to focus on one area, or to even work in a corporate role as I do, where we overarch all the brands. So you have a chance to really expand your understanding of a business as it relates to either one brand or many. And that's what a lot of us love, is the flexibility and growth amongst the portfolio of brands here. I'm going to share a little video quickly. Hopefully you can all hear it.
Beauty is something that's prehistoric, it's emotional, it's a central part of humanity and who we are. And yes, we're a business, but we're touching on that in a very emotional and intrinsic way.
We're here to build empowerment and confidence and have people feel good in their day-to-day.
The culture at L'Oreal, people are really driven to improve.
We have a mantra, break the autopilot, and we really mean that. Question what you're doing to make it better.
My favorite part of the job is really the people.
The people.
The people who I work with inspire me every day to bring my best self.
We have a really great dynamic, and it doesn't feel like coming into work every day is a job.
Find your people, find your purpose. That purpose has directly translated to finding happiness here at L'Oreal. But the free goods allowance, I think, doesn't hurt as well.
Helps too. And across the organization, we have employee think tanks to really celebrate the diversity that is around us.
You don't have to fit any mold, that you bring who you are, your most authentic self, and they love it and they take it at face value.
We all come to work every day focused on what our tasks are at hand, and it's important to take a step back and realize we're creating beauty that moves the world, and we should enjoy doing it.
I'm a consumer of beauty products. They're very important to me, and to be part of it on a larger scale makes me excited for what's to come.
Okay. One of my favorite videos, we just created that this year. Of course, everyone that you see on there is actively working here. And so it just kind of takes you behind the scenes of what you'll see throughout this presentation and bringing it to life a little more so you can see the people behind our work and what we love to do every day. I'm going to kind of break down actually 5 surprising things you might not know about L'Oreal, and I hope you walk out of here today with at least one of these sticking with you and inspiring you to hopefully join our organization in the future. The first is beyond marketing. A lot of us at L'Oreal aren't necessarily on a marketing track. And this is really important to know is that we're driven by so many other functions. We're driven by science, corporate affairs, retail, medical, and then of course, dermatological and research and innovation. It's hugely rooted in who we are and how we were kind of brought up as a company is that science and research. So this is often sometimes forgotten. A lot of people think L'Oreal, big advertiser, I must only be a marketer to work there. And that is not true. You can have a huge plethora of different experiences and join our organization. The next is innovation. So again, so many of the products out there are rooted in our innovation and research. So Andrea in the room, I know does a lot with medical students in this space of research, and it's really changing what we put out onto the market. So if this is an interest for you, this is absolutely such a great place, whether it's chemistry, biochem, engineering. We have over 4,000 R&I experts, which is our research and innovation team members across the globe. So absolutely an opportunity for you, whether it's in the US or international based, to really be part of that innovation. The next is looking at like the future of beauty. We have a lot of roles that are starting to pop up on sustainability. And this is within our operational plants, within how we look at carbon neutrality of our offices, how we travel. We're constantly innovating the ways of doing things as it creates sustainable growth. Again, everything from packaging to the products that we're actually formulating all relates back. So if this is a place for you, if you really love sustainability, we have a lot of new roles in this space as well. And then, when we think about beauty, it isn't just that you have to be one gender. We are open to all genders, and we hope that you see that. A lot of our brands and leaders, it's definitely a gender balance. So it's not that you have to only love beauty. I honestly didn't know a lot about makeup before starting here. So I want to kind of break that, idea that you only have to be a beauty professional to work here. That is not true. We have people from all different backgrounds. And of course, diversity roots us, absolutely. So much of what we do, and I'm sure Wendy and Andrea can talk more about it, but so much of what we do is really, really focused on how to not only diversify who we bring into the organization, but also create a sense of belonging. And so we have a lot of teams working on that. How do we really create connection here once you are here to retain you and help you feel connected to others. So that's a huge part of what we do. A lot of our teams, we have think tanks here. We have DEI champions that are impacting our products and the way we go to market. And then we have other, little task force throughout how we all got connected. I know with our passion around HBCU background. So that's how me, Wendy, and Andrea all got connected. So these little passion projects around DEI are all around L'Oreal. And so hopefully those 5 facts help you understand a little bit more about us. Really quickly, I'm not going to rattle off all these numbers, but just to kind of take a step back to see how big we are across the globe. Yes, we are located in the US and we have several key headquarters here, but we also are in 150 countries. So if it's something of interest to you to travel the world and go a little more international, then this is absolutely a great company for you. And another thing just to highlight is a little bit about our sales. I know it's even going up from this, but we were at 31 billion last year. So just to put in perspective for you, the immense amount of impact and kind of touch we have across the globe. This is just a good high level for you to see where are we. So I'm actually out here in LA at our new headquarters. So if any of you are interested in sunny California, it's a great place to settle in. But I did move from across the US. I was originally located out of our New York headquarters, which is where a lot of our teams are based. We have field sales all across the US. That isn't shown on here, but just so you know, We have a ton of people in the field. And then we also have a huge footprint in Miami with travel retail and our business service center in Tampa. So Florida, New York, and New Jersey, and LA are going to be the hubs of where a lot of our roles are positioned. But of course, as you see here, throughout kind of Ohio, North Little Rock, we also have a lot of distribution and plants if you're more on the engineering and operations side. So now I'm going to move into, just for the next like several minutes, is why we're here today, which is to talk to you a little bit more about early careers. This is my space. I'm super passionate, and I realized in the beginning I just jumped right in and didn't even introduce myself. I'm so passionate about what we do here and from a talent space. So really quickly, yeah, I've been at L'Oreal for 5 years across the entire recruitment space. I've recruited on every single function here, and recently I've moved into the early career side to lead recruitment and university there. So I can talk all day about these programs, and so I'm interested to hear if you have any questions. But what I'm going to do is just highlight 4 different spaces for you and some of the programs. And then, of course, if you have any other questions, we can dig further into that throughout the rest of today. So for any freshmen, we do have Brandstorm. I'm going to go to in the next few slides. It's our global case competition. Anyone within university can participate. Freshmen, whether you're undergrad or graduate. Sophomores is where we now have, and it's open right now, so I hope some of you apply. It's our Diverse Future Leaders Fellowship. This is basically about a 9-month virtual program for anyone that's a sophomore that wants to upskill themselves and kind of get the experience of L'Oreal. It's not a full internship because unfortunately it's not paid, but it's only basically once a month to meet, and it's to help you upskill to understand and learn from us at L'Oreal. You get paired up with a mentor. You also go through some workshops and programming that we are giving back to you so that you can feel more confident in the next year. And it's really a great program to increase your ability to understand pitch decks, to critical conversations, to any other professional areas that you want to kind of expand. You get to put it on your resume. And so it's a real booster during your sophomore year when you're looking for that additional experience, but you might not be able to find it. So this is a feeder into the internship. If you're part of the fellowship, we give you first interview openings. So I'll pause there and let you sink that in, because these interviews. This year we received almost 20,000 applications for our internship, 20,000, and it's still growing. So that means you get one of the first interviews out of all those applicants if you're part of this program. That is the purpose of it. We want to see you be successful. This year, about half of our fellows interviewed and then got an offer. So it's a really great program if you're interested long-term for L'Oreal. Your junior year is where we have our internship right now. We have every function possible, and that's in the next slide I'll highlight. It's a paid internship. You're based either in New York, New Jersey, or LA. We have some openings here, as well as Florida and then North Little Rock. So that's an amazing 11-week internship that will give you so much experience. And then from that, it is a feeder into our MT program, which is our management trainee. So you could very well leave your junior summer year with a offer in hand from us to come back for the next year. And the management trainee is a program that is about 12 to 18 months, depending on your function, to really rotate throughout the business and become a manager. So it's a great rotational program. And then last thing, as a senior that is noted here, is the junior associate program. So if you're a senior and you're graduating in December or May or June, our junior associate programs are an entry-level position within marketing or digital that allows you to, for an entire year, really, have a full-time role. And then after that, you can also then get into the management training program. So if rotation is kind of interesting you, you can go into the management training. If you're like, I'd rather just have an entry-level role, then the junior associate program or entry-level roles are a great place for you. This is just highlighting our internship in general. It's a phenomenal internship. Like I said, it's very competitive, so you want to apply early. I do want to highlight right now, our internship applications are still open. I do believe marketing and digital are almost full, but we still have openings across finance, sales, operations as well. So if you're sitting here and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really, really interested still, please apply probably by end of week because they are filling up. We go through a lot of interviews during a very short period of time. So, please note that. Another important thing I do want to highlight is we always get questions with, well, will I be moved? Yes, you're provided a stipend, you're provided pay. So do not worry, you're not expected to just pick up and move yourself. We do help with that as well. I do want to note you must be legally eligible to work in the US on an ongoing basis for the internship. And that is because in the end, we do want to convert interns into MTs. And so this is something that is just kind of a program eligibility requirement. So I do want to note that. And you will have to be open to that relocation for the summer. And then this is actually for you all. Let me actually make sure that it's going to take you to the right page. So again, we love QR codes here at L'Oreal because it's sustainable and we're not handing out too many flyers. The QR code that you scan is going to lead you to a landing page on the Diverse Fellowship. So if you're sitting here and you're interested as a sophomore and you're like, wait, what did she say about it? This, I just scanned it myself. It's a whole background on the Diverse Fellowship and a little bit more about it, the community of it, the opportunity of it, and then you can click apply today. Those for the fellowship are open until January 20th, so it does give you some time to get your resume in. There's no interviews as part of this program. It's a resume and video. We want to hear from you what diversity means to you. And then you will get an alert by end of January, early February to start the program. So I hope to see many of you apply if you're a sophomore sitting in the room. And then this is one of my favorite pieces of our early careers. Wendy really helped with coaching this last year, and she can weigh in a little bit on her experience, but it's Brandstorm. This is for every single student, whether you're eligible to work in the US or not. This is open to every student, every background. So I would love for you to all participate. This year, Brandstorm, and it's our global case competition, by the way, that each year we put on as a global team. And it's super exciting. This year we have a theme. Every year we have a theme. This year it's all about cracking the new codes of beauty. And basically what that means is your prompt is to just create something digital or something that we haven't seen before to really help impact the way the future of beauty and our customers experience beauty. So it's a very open concept. And so you are able to come as a student and propose anything, anything from VR to AR to gaming to the metaverse, NFTs, you name it. So if this is a space that interests you, I highly suggest that you register. And so I'm going to go back a slide to, you want to go to brandstorm.l'oreal.com. I will quickly kind of just tell you a little bit about the program and why. You might say, like, why would I go through a global case competition? So the purpose is that when you submit a project, if you're in the US finals team, which last year, again, we had about 36 teams or 36 students as part of that, you get paired up with a coach. And so, like I said, Wendy can talk more about that, but for 4 weeks, you get paired up with a business coach. And so you are really coached on how to pitch an idea, how to crystallize and get more clear on your idea. And so they help you bring it all together. And then you as a student get to present that in front of our executive board, which is super exciting. And then in the end, you could potentially get an opportunity to go to Paris for 3 weeks, fully paid for an internship. So that's kind of the big star in the sky. If you hear the word Paris and that excites you, I just came back from there a few months ago and it's phenomenal. If that is something of interest to you, then I highly suggest registering for this and participating. Again, no real eligibility needed, but we would love to have you all part of this year. And the last thing I will say is, if you don't make it through to Paris, that is okay. A lot of these students have gotten hired, which is like kind of the biggest achievement in the global case competition. So we love that. Students that are part of this often get hired. So if it's something you want to be part of, And also note, you don't have to be an expert in this space. We're all still learning what the metaverse is, half of us. We do provide some little upskilling videos. You don't have to be an expert. If you're an ideas person and you're creative and want to get involved, I definitely suggest participating. And my last few slides are just a little bit about what we look for. I always like to give back to students so you know, like, what are we looking for when we interview you? We get a lot of these questions. And so in your interviews with us, we look at a 5-dimension of potential. We really look at ambition. You know, are you able to think ahead? And this is where Brandstorm comes into play, because we really look for individuals that think beyond themselves and think as a greater, what can I do to make an impact? You have to really be resilient to work at L'Oreal, that's for sure. Having empathy is really big. As part of how to work collaborative. We also look at judgment. How does someone take data and create, you know, kind of a sound decision based on that data? And then learning agility. We always look for people who are really looking to constantly learn. So just keep these in mind as you talk with us and get into conversations with us in the future. We're really looking at these key competencies in your interviews. And so I want to encourage you all to apply to something today, whether that's the internship, the fellowship, or Brandstorm. It's really, we try to make all of our applications easy. Note that no cover letter is required for any of our roles. So I do want to emphasize that. I know students sometimes get a little overwhelmed thinking about cover letters, but this is not a factor at all. So all you need is your resume, and then when you go through the interview process, we do have panel interviews to help it go quicker. And that's kind of the last part is our virtual interview day for any internships. It's a 1-day event. It goes really fast and you find out that day if you get the internship or not. So we love to make it kind of easy as possible. I went through a lot of information very quickly. I'm sure there's questions in the room, but I also want to give Wendy and Andrea a chance to kind of talk about their experience because they have so much amazing knowledge about L'Oreal. I do see a few questions or one question in the chat direct to me. So I'm happy to answer that. But if anyone in the room has their hand up, just Wendy, let me know and I'm happy to talk through.
I think we have a few hands up.
Okay.
So. I wanted to ask you a bit more about the supply chain internship, and if you could talk about the responsibilities a bit more, what that looks like in terms of did you hear that?
I can't hear anything, so you're gonna have to repeat it back to me.
I wanted to know more about our supply chain management internships, the opportunities there, like highlight more for an intern. What exactly in the supply chain?
What are they doing?
Yes.
Yeah, great question.
More about it.
Yeah, I can talk more about supply chain, absolutely. And actually, I'll give you a little more insight as to what we mean by supply chain. So I actually started my recruitment career in supply chain, so an immensely huge function that's really important to us. So as an intern in supply chain, we have a lot of different functional areas that you will be put on one of those teams. So we have teams in packaging. So whether you're packaging engineer, packaging sustainability, or design, you could be put on one of those teams. Sourcing, so sourcing and procurement, how we're looking at working with vendors. Supply chain itself, so really looking at, we have a lot of interns placed on inventory and excess and obsolete. You can't imagine the amount of inventory we have. And I have to laugh because we have so many SKUs and product. And so a lot of the interns are placed on projects that you're really looking and analyzing numbers of where are our products sitting? Are they moving quickly enough? And if they're not, what do we do with that inventory? So that's another piece. And then we have demand planning side. So if you're really into forecasting and finances, this is a good space for you. And then we also have like process improvement teams and engineering. So we have a ton of opportunity in process engineering, really looking at, again, the way our plants are operating, from a distribution standpoint and a supply chain standpoint. So we do have openings still in supply chain. So I encourage you to apply, absolutely. And then throughout that program, you're likely based in New Jersey for the summer. That's a big amount of a lot of our openings there. So hopefully that answers your question. I kind of took you through a little bit of all the functions.
Yes,
Good.
it did. Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you. I see a few in the chat really quick, so I'm gonna go there. And then let me just read. Our international students who have CPT and OPT eligible for the application. I do know I think R&I, which is our research and innovation team, OPT, I believe is eligible, but not CPT, I don't believe. So I would encourage you to apply. Now on everyone's application, by the way, you do have to fill out in a form whether you require sponsorship, and if you do, what that is, so then we can understand, you know, are you eligible to move for the program? So like I said, I think research and innovation, because they're a zone division, which means they're more global focused, so they tend to be able to take on more individuals from international backgrounds. And then I see a few other questions. Are internships just in the US or internships opportunity outside of the country? So Nora, great question. So for everyone, absolutely, we have a lot of opportunities across, I mean, we have 150 different countries. So actually, for instance, we partner closely with China. China is always coming to us and looking for talent to say, does anybody want to come here for the summer or, you know, full-time opportunities? Europe is a huge hub for us within Paris and London. I know a lot of teams have also gone to Dubai. So we have tons of opportunities across the globe. So I encourage you can interview or apply for those internships as well. And I'm going to answer the last one in the chat, and then I'll come back to the classroom. Are you allowed, this is a great question. Are you allowed to apply to multiple junior associate programs? Yes. So the junior associate program, again, is for those sitting in the room that are going into their senior year. I would suggest waiting till about 3 months-ish before you graduate. So for instance, if you're graduating in May and June, we're looking to hire individuals that are, you know, currently almost graduated. So if you're like, oh, I'm graduating in May, start to look for openings starting in February, March, and then we will be hiring a new round during that time. You are able, of course, to apply to a few different opportunities because all of our junior associate programs are different. They are placed on different brands. You're going to have a different role. One might be working on Amazon Analytics, so it's more on the digital side. Another might be on global marketing, and you're doing conceptual work. So definitely encourage everyone here, if you're questioning which role, definitely you can apply to more than one. Those are the questions in the chat. So anything in the room?
Yes. We can't hear you at all. Can you get up and? Conceptually, but I'll let Brittany answer it. Susan, her question is, how solid of an idea do you have to participate in Brandstorm? If it's conceptual, is it okay?
Yeah, such a great question. So thank you for asking that. To start, it's going to be, it's a great question because your idea doesn't have to be fully baked out. You might have this concept in your mind where you're like, ooh, if we only had, and by the way, it could be as far-fetched as possible, right? The bigger, the better. So say you're thinking, ooh, I want to create some type of NFT that is going to impact the way we look at, I don't know. I'm not very keen on the digital side, but I know NFTs. So say you have this general concept, you get 3 slides to kind of describe in general what you're kind of thinking. Then when you move through to the next your idea seems like, wow, this could be really interesting. When you move into the next phase, which is working with a L'Oreal coach, they're going to really help bring that idea to life with you. You might think, ooh, how do I do this financially? They're going to coach you through that. So I would say, like, if you have this idea, let it spark, let it grow. And honestly, as you're putting your slides together, you might even kind of bring that to life a little more. So I encourage you, if you have like a spark or glitter of an idea, to go with it. And then throughout the time, you're definitely going to be able to like articulate it a little more as you get into the competition. Hopefully that helps.
And just to add to that, with your coaches can also really help you kind of like, expand on the idea. So with that coaching, you can definitely do that.
Hi, I would like to talk a little bit more about the diverse future leader fellowship. You guys mentioned in like the last bullet point on the site, that like access potential opportunities within large global organizations. So I know it's for the US specific, but is there like within that opportunity, like getting to know other students in the US, would there be an opportunity to meet other students who are in other parts of the world who are doing something similar?
I didn't hear, sorry, I heard diverse fellowship.
So she's basically asking for the diverse fellowship. Will there be other opportunities to meet other students who are in the program from other parts of the world?
It's a great question. The US is actually the first to launch a program like this. Yeah, so you would meet students all across the US, which is actually a really great opportunity to kind of jumpstart your network beyond your university, which is always really important, after you leave college. But right at this moment, no, we're not overlapping with other countries. However, in the internship program, I think because this is a feeder into the internship program, we do then throughout the internship program give you exposure to other countries and opportunities there. So although not in this program specifically, it is a feeder into the internship, which is a little more globally connected.
Hi, my name is Alicia. I'm currently a senior, so I wanted to ask you a little bit about the interviews that you've maybe had in the past. I know you talked about the 5 things that you look for in general in a candidate, but maybe if you could talk about something that's really stuck out to you in an interview, something that you still think about when you interview someone that was such a great candidate.
Yeah, it's a great question. I've interviewed thousands of people by now. What really stands out to us at L'Oreal is you don't have to come, and I want to really emphasize this, is any job description, you're likely going to meet 70% maybe of the qualifications. So I always encourage students to think that you don't have to have every single bullet point piece of experience. So just to start with that, what we look at from a resume standpoint is, do you have enough transferable skills that's going to lend kind of that strength into that specific role? So you want to make sure just on your resume that you are highlighting any leadership opportunities, any projects that you worked on in your class or outside internships that could relate to that specific role, and really kind of expand upon what you've done. The students that stand out, because we get thousands of applications, are the ones that kind of turn the resume into a story. And so I always am encouraging students to think beyond just simple day-to-day work, but how has your background, how do you have any type of experience that is really kind of above and beyond just a typical internship? Really tell us a little bit more. So that's the resume piece. From an interview standpoint, what really stands out to us is someone that can answer questions in a more detailed way, backing it up with specific examples and data points. And so what I mean by that is, we often ask is, can you tell me about a time where you had to influence a colleague or someone in a program? Or can you tell me about a time where something went wrong? What did you do? So what we like to hear is you to walk us through. It's called the STAIR model. So I encourage everyone to kind of look that up. I actually post a lot about this on LinkedIn too for content, but really we want to hear your story walking us through that situation. What stands out to us are students that are able to back up their answers with specific examples and be very clear in how they've maybe attacked that or gotten through that situation. And so it's really important also to be yourself. I encourage students to not overly script themselves, be really authentic in your answers. For instance, we love when we ask, you know, why L'Oreal? There's no right answer. Like, we don't need you to know everything about L'Oreal. It's what has connected with you. So a lot of students that talk about their story of maybe, you know, they had acne and they used one of our products and it helped give them the confidence, or their shade could never be found in other brands and now they found a shade that really matches their skin tone. So I would encourage you to just answer each question in a very authentic way that speaks to you. And that's really what we look for throughout those interviews that stand out. And then the last thing I'll say is just be able to speak to maybe like why that role, and you know, why that role. We have a lot of different positions, and so helping understand what from your background specifically can you translate into this role that would make you a great candidate for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. This
Yeah.
one is Faye. I'm the sponsor as well. So nice to meet you all. My name is Lily. I am a junior studying marketing and graphic design at American. And after watching that video, the L'Oreal promotional video you shared, it really seems like the people are such, you know, a motivating, passionate, diverse group of individuals, which is amazing. And I would love to hear a little bit about just like the company culture at L'Oreal and how that really translates day to day.
Well, I'm also going to let Andrea and Wendy weigh in on this as well, because we're all, very much connected to what we do here. Everyone's going to answer different, but I think everyone's going to have the same basis. And for me, the culture has really been, for me, in a few different ways. I think it's given me exposure to such diverse ways of thinking that I had never been connected to before. I came from a nonprofit background and an agency background. And I have never been surrounded by so many different individuals that are really inspiring and help me think different. It's challenging. You know, you get pushback, you get questioned, you might be told no a lot, but when you're surrounded by so many people that are so passionate about what they're doing, you're really motivated. And then the last thing I'll say about this culture is, like, I have grown so much on a personal and professional level. Learning about it goes beyond the products, like as you saw in the video, it really does. It kind of becomes this more purposeful work that we all do. Yes, I'm in talent, but like for me, it's way more than that. It's that I get to impact an organization through our people. Our marketers are doing way more than just product. And so it's really about like growth. And I think everybody can identify as that. So like our culture to me is super purposeful. It's about growth. It's definitely not this materialistic idea that probably, you know, with beauty, the beauty industry is that a lot. But I want to let the team on site answer, because I'm sure they have amazing thoughts as well.
So for me, it's the impact that we create across the world. And for me, I just feel like, what other platforms can you get on like L'Oreal? Such a massive platform. If you want to create impact, it's the platform to be on. And Andrea, I'll let Andrea speak for herself. I've always been very passionate about anything that has to do with diversity, especially in beauty. You know, most of the products, beauty has always been about, you know, Caucasian skin, not people of color. And at L'Oreal, you know, it was also about that 100 years ago, because the organization is over 120 years old. But like you heard in the video, it's all about the people. They listen to us. They want us to represent the rest of the world. So it's something that they've listened to us. That's all I'm doing now, working on everything skin of color. We just signed like a huge partnership with Howard Durham School to help us kind of accelerate the work we're doing in skin of color. So honestly, it's a massive company, but it also feels like a small company. It's whatever you want to do, as long as it's impactful to our communities, to the rest of the world. You will probably get a no, 1 or 2 no's, but with experience, trust me, the no's go away after a while. Just prove yourself and they will listen to you. This is all about creating impact.
Awesome. The thing I love about L'Oreal is that you can show up as your authentic self. I think it's a place where you can have flexibility to be creative, to really be a thought leader. And like Wendy said, you will get pushback on your ideas, but it's about building impact. And L'Oreal is all about presentation, like, what do you think? And so I love this company because it's given me the opportunity to bring a lot of my personal passions to the forefront. And also you get to meet with so many diverse people, you know, from all over Europe, China. And so we just have some new plants in Kenya. So there's so many great things that we're doing, especially with research and innovation. And like Wendy said, we did sign a contract with Howard University. So I'm all about helping medical students, you know, to really develop, you know, their strengths. So it's a great opportunity and I employ all of you to apply. Thank you so much. I think it was gentleman.
So to the men, I know a lot of, because we talk about this, Brittany, I feel like when people think of beauty, they automatically think of women. I mean, and Brittany alluded to it in her presentation, it's genderless, but there is still, we do need a lot of men. We want men to apply because we're all representative of the world that we're in. So it's not just about women.
I'm going off of the question about different culture. My name's Madison. I know this is an entertainment major. I'm a junior. How would you guys each describe the company's values in your personal experience?
I like that. The company values, I say, because the reason why I'm there is because it aligns exactly with mine. I'm all about creating impact. I'm all about creating positive impact and helping the world. I'm an AU beauty. I graduated like 20 years ago. And I recall I started as a pre-med student because I wanted to do something that impacts the world positively. And I felt like that was the only way I could do it. But deep inside, I always wanted to do beauty, but I thought it was mundane. And we never had beauty companies like L'Oreal come here. So I didn't really know that it had this depth to it until like one day I decided I'm just gonna move and I'm just gonna work there. And I noticed that, look, we're creating, especially for our division or the active cosmetics, because they're basically the dermatological brands, we're doing so much for our communities. There's so many people who don't even have money to go and see derms, but our products are backed by science. You know, there's a lot of research that goes into it and it helps them. So it's all about impact, and I'm able to do that and enjoy, you know, doing that. So I'll let Brittany.
I didn't hear the full question. I'm sorry.
The values, how do the values within the organization, how do we feel that aligns with culture?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like the values here are aligned with a lot of probably our own values, because it really is, like to Wendy's point, just like about the impact and connection. And so I think, you know, and also depending on the division you're in and the products you work on, there's these little like different, I don't want to call it a different culture, but there's definitely a different feel or a different purpose within that. So for me, I think it's the values that have kept me here, because it really is about like connection. And one of my values, I value like passion. And so that's definitely one of the things here that I think mostly everyone is a very like passionate person. And so it leans into like who we are and who we hire as well.
Right, and it really goes into our values of how we help communities, especially underserved communities, and giving back to educate those who don't necessarily have dermatological care. And specifically within our active cosmetics division, we have campaigns like Act for Good. So we're helping oncology patients, et cetera. And we're really helping them to develop, you know, more understanding of their skin. And then with CeraVe, we have a whole campaign called CeraVe Care. So we're going out into communities that are underserved and helping them to develop basic skincare regimens. So it aligns with me when I talk about community service. So these values are core to the makeup of L'Oreal.
And Andrea, you bring up a good point. So L'Oreal for Youth is one of our big initiatives on our team, and L'Oreal for Youth is all about giving back to students to create more employability for the future for underrepresented minorities. So that's how I've gotten so connected to Andrea's work. So this is something that wasn't in my job description, but it's really kind of about these core purposeful strategies that kind of we really lean into beyond our day-to-day to give back. So it's not just about, my job isn't just about recruitment. It's really about how do we give back so the future of students and you all, whether it's with us or another company, just feel more prepared. So those are the things too that, to Andrea's point, just about like going beyond sometimes our roles and having it connect to a greater purpose.
Just to add to that, all our 37 plus brands, each brand has an organization that they work with. So for example, Maybelline is focused on, you know, trying to eradicate depression in within teens, like, you know, NYX is focused on LGBTQ. So these values, they really do run through the core of who we are and what we do everywhere. So it's something that aligns with yours. You're not going to miss it. It's everywhere. It's in what you do. It's everywhere. You can't miss it.
And also just to reiterate what Brittany kind of touched on, even like stepping outside of your role. When I first started, I was more in a medical sales position, but I had an idea. And I'm like, you know what? I love community service. So I developed my role and I pitched it. So now my role is expanded. So we'll have a whole division now that's going to be dedicated to how we drive community medical interaction. So if you have an idea, you can always pitch it. L'Oreal gives you that flexibility.
I'm going to go to the chat really quick because I see that there's a few extra questions in there. Are you allowed to apply to multiple? I answered that one. You are able to apply to multiple junior associate programs. So I answered that already. Do I have to major in something that is related to the fellowship or internship? That is a great question. So going for the fellowship, it's open to all majors. We're not looking for anything specific. We're really just looking for, honestly, your own thoughts on diversity and what it means to you. And so we're looking for individuals that are passionate about DEI work. So that's for the fellowship. For the internship, what we really look for is not necessarily experience, but do you have a background that's going to be transferable? So for instance, for the marketing internship, do we only look at marketing majors? Absolutely not. I've interviewed some people from engineering. I've interviewed some people that are just in business in general. And even I think another one that I interviewed, it was like a chemical engineer that wanted to go into marketing because like they were really passionate about that side. So we don't necessarily limit your background. What we want to see is what from your background are you highlighting that stands out to us that it's going to be transferable into that function. So that's for the internship. And then the last thing, is there any advice for international students? I also answered this in the chat too. So unfortunately, again, even as you graduate, for most of the functions in the US, unfortunately, we do not sponsor. So this is something that I know can be a challenge, but unfortunately, we do not for many of our functions here in the US. So I encourage you to also then connect with, we have a lot of opportunities around the globe and you can apply in those other areas too. So I think that was all the questions in the chat. We'll go back to the room.
Coming in just a little for the virtual view. Yeah. We have about 5 more minutes and then we can.
Andrea has
Have a
to
nice
leave, so
goodbye.
one.
Any marketing questions?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Amanda Bosses. I'm a junior. I'm a double major in philosophy and public relations. And one of my favorite things to do is meet new people. So I'd like to know each of your experiences, what your favorite moment with L'Oreal, the most random, best, most exciting person that you met through your job.
Oh.
It could be a funny story, a funny experience that you had. I'm just curious.
I'm just trying to think, our former president came and he rode with me and Wendy knows him very well. And he said, one of our brands just actually sold was Dermablend. And he said, Andrea, he's French. Andrea, what do you think about Dermablend? I'm like, nothing. And he's like, what? And I was like, I don't use it. I've never used it before. I use Fenty. What? This is disgrace. He gets on the phone, he's calling all these people, send her number to be two. So I go home, and then the next day, all these different shades of Dermablend show up at my house, right? And he goes, Andrea, which one do you? So he was like a very impressionable person that I met. So you get to meet like, high level executives to, someone who cleans the office. Everyone is amazing. Everyone has an amazing story. So, but that stand out for me.
I have one quick story. This is pre-pandemic days, but a couple years ago, I was getting coffee in New York. And it was our head of like executive coaching and learning at the time, Tracy Fenton, who had an amazing impact on our organization in the US. She's now in Paris. At my level at the time, I think I was a manager, and she had, she was an executive, but I kind of made a comment because she had a psychology background and I did too. And ever since then, she became my mentor. I helped her. I was one of her editors on her book. She wrote a book and she asked me for feedback. So I got to read her book before like it got released and help give feedback. Again, something like crazy I would have never ever thought, but that always meant like the world to me. So you could be passing someone in the hall and just like make a comment and it changes like your trajectory. It's really cool.
For me, we have a new CHRO who is Stephanie Kramer. So Stephanie just wrote a book. It's not out yet, but you can find it on Amazon. And the title of the book is Carry Strong. Basically, she's talking about how corporations should be more supportive of women when they get pregnant, when they're working. And Stephanie just became our new CHRO. So I went to the old CHRO and I'm like, Stefan, aren't you scared that she's the new CHRO? Can you imagine what we're going to do? We're going to take over. And he's like, no, I'm not scared. Because for a company like L'Oreal, for someone who's written that book and is so about empowering women, empowering everyone at every level, and she doesn't have by the way, she has zero background in HR, but she's now the head of HR for North America. So that tells you a lot. It's because she's exhibited the values, she's empowered people, and so it goes all the way up. You can do whatever. You don't have to have the background as long as you've shown the skill and you've shown the passion
And the initiative. Yeah, you can be there. And the good thing, you can start in marketing, and then maybe you're thinking, I want to go into engineering, or you might be in one division in Lux, and you can go into hair care. So there's so many opportunities, when you have transferable skills. Thank you. All right. We have
One last question.
So I was interested in the active cosmetics, but my background is in like data science and economics. But but like so like when you're talking about like transferable skills, I have a lot of personally, I think I have a lot of knowledge regarding cosmetic brands and ingredients like chemical like meds wise, but how do I transfer that into a resume when it's just like a passion of mine? Or like how, because it's hard to translate this immense passion that I have and kind of like the outside commitment that I've done in order to understand the industry, but also the users. Okay. Yeah.
Brittany, did you hear the question?
A little bit. So I'm going to repeat it back. So was it about something you're passionate about, and how do you highlight that on your resume? Yes. If it's not exact experience? Absolutely. So yeah, you always want to be able to add kind of those key, like I said, your resume is your story. So if this is part of your story, you can help have it stand out under volunteer work, or again, like project experience. It doesn't mean that it isn't part of who you are in your experience. So maybe you want to highlight that as, again, volunteer work or extracurricular. And then in your interview, I always tell individuals, like, that's where that story will come out a little more. So hopefully that helps. But I always say, like, make your resume your own. Don't necessarily just go off of what you think, you should follow. Like, if there's something that you really want to help you stand out, I would say put it on your resume.
Guys, I have an economics major, an MBA, another master's in econ, and I'm in Durham Science and I love it. So honestly. I can do that.
So I have, if you have like 2 minutes.
Yes.
For us, can you talk quickly about your path from AU? You touched on it a little bit, but your path from AU and
Yeah.
economics too.
So just quickly, I started off as an international student. So I came on an F1 visa. I was in London. I'm originally from Ghana, West Africa, but went to private school in the UK.
I just
And-
want to say, I have to go, guys.
Oh,
but
yes.
It's been a pleasure. Good luck to all of you. And, make sure you guys apply. We'd love to see you at L'Oreal. There's so many great opportunities. Bring your passion, bring your drive and your whole self, okay?
Thanks, Andrea.
So started off as an international student, majored in pre-med and econ, and then I was working in finance for a while. I worked with Morgan Stanley because that's all I knew, and ended up at Harvard, did a master's there, went into private equity, and then came back here and did an MBA, part-time while I was working, because, you know, I feel like this back and forth for me all came because I was searching for my true passion, and deep inside, I knew I wanted to do beauty, but I thought it was mundane. I thought there was nothing to it, because remember, everything I do, for me, I wanted to have impact, you know, positive impact. So I think down the line, I decided I'm just gonna move to New York. So I moved to New York randomly. And I thought because of my background, because of all my degrees, I'm like, of course they're gonna hire. And so I go to Estee Lauder, like, no. Zero beauty background. Again, that's why L'Oreal is so special, because you don't have to have a beauty background. But I remember during those days, Estee Lauder, most of the beauty companies were like, we're not interested because you don't have a beauty background. So me and my willpower had to kind of like do certain internships. So I ended up on Joe Malone and the Estee Lauder brand, worked there for a while, did finance and Bumble Hair, Estee Lauder, moved to NARS, filled in for someone who was on maternity leave. We were hoping she doesn't come back, but she came back. And then I got a job at Chanel. So then I was at Chanel for like 4 or 5 years working in beauty and fragrance. But then after 4 or 5 years, I moved to L'Oreal. L'Oreal was a place that I always wanted to work at, but it was always like competitive to get in. And it's more competitive when you don't know anyone there and you have no idea. But these programs that Brittany alluded to, they're going to help you put your foot in the door and definitely accelerate your path to getting into the company. And at that point, I didn't even know there were programs. I don't even know, Brittany, did those programs exist like 8 years ago?
I think it was very probably different. Basic, I think they're a lot more like robust and, you know, specific, and they've grown. Like our intern count this year, I think is 180, which seems small in regards to the 20,000. But I think over the years it's grown. It continues to grow even more each year.
Yeah. So I feel like there are people that have been in all these other programs that I've mentored. I think this year there are 4 people that I mentored who were not part of the intern. They didn't apply for internship. They just applied for the Brandstorm and other things, and they have jobs now. So there's so many ways to get into it. But back to AU, I love AU because it was so diverse. That was why, because I got into Georgetown as well, but I was like more drawn to AU because it was always diverse. I always felt at home. And that's how L'Oreal feels to me. It feels at home. It feels diverse because my parents live in Africa. My sisters live in the UK. So I always need to be in a space where it feels like home, and L'Oreal definitely feels that way. And I've been there for 7 years. Absolutely love it. So you guys, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, Wendy, for bringing us all together. I'm so grateful for this. So thank you. And I hope to see some of you here.
Thanks, Brittany.
Thank you. Bye.